Do you struggle with staying consistent in your workouts? Do you get maybe 1, 2, 3 months of consistent workouts and then something changes and suddenly you can't find your way back to the gym? This episode is for you. I am taking real case studies of the women that I work with at Fit After 40 and breaking down what has kept them consistent since we started working together in November of 2025. You deserve to have the health outcomes you are working towards, but that only comes from consistency. So let's learn how to do it, take care of our body, and thrive through menopause and beyond. But first,
welcome to Fit After 40, the Women's Fitness and Health Revolution podcast. Kinsey here, certified personal trainer and menopause coaching specialist. I've worked with hundreds of clients over the past 12 years and know firsthand how intimidating starting a fitness routine can be, especially in perimenopause. My goal is to teach women in midlife and beyond how to feel strong and confident in their bodies and to help them live the healthy life they deserve, free of pain, heart disease, dementia, frailty, you name it. In this show, you'll get action steps you can take today, backed by the most up-to-date research and thousands of hours of practical in-gym experience. The best time to get started may have been 20 years ago, but the second best time to get started is today. Hello, and welcome to Fit After 40, Women's Fitness and Health Revolution podcast. Kinsey here, and I want to be honest, I was about 4 seconds away from saying, you know what, I think I'm going to skip the podcast this week because it's been busy here, y'all, and I'm trying to be very, my whole goal when I started Fit After 40 in the studio, when I started Fit After 40, was that I really wanted to approach this studio without burning out, because I have a tendency, and I know many of you relate, where it's all or nothing and things have to be amazing. So we end up just pouring our whole selves into it, and then suddenly we're like, I'm exhausted, I'm losing hair, I'm tired, I can't who am I? I haven't seen my family in 39 years. Just kidding. It's just been a couple days. But the point is that it was really important to me that as I developed this business, and one of the reasons that I wanted, for so many reasons, one of the benefits of having this business was that I got to be in charge of my approach to work. And as someone who is a chronic workaholic, this is a big thing that I'm constantly trying to be like, okay, am I like good tired? Am I close to burnout? It's insane, right? Burnout is such a crazy thing that we've just so, as a culture, accepted as part of like, this is just our job. If you're not feeling exhausted and like banging your head against the wall, are you a good employee? Yes, you are, because you're honoring yourself. So point is that as I was getting through this week, things were just a little bit fuller. I'm bringing on a new coach in studio, and that's amazing. She's awesome. It just means that I have a new way of, I have some systems that I have to create in real time while I'm bringing her on. Just life getting lifey, right? I took a break over the 4th. That was crazy. So I've got some catch up. Again, point of this was just because I was like, you know what? I think I got to take something off my plate because I'm just tired. We're also in the middle of a heat wave and wildfires in Minnesota. So to all my folks who have been in the middle of that, you know, there's just something about energy at this time that's just sort of like wah wah. But I realized, and this is not going to be a podcast about me feeling tired, don't worry, but it did spark the thought for this podcast today, because I realized I was not doing the podcast because I was like, oh my God, I don't have a great idea. Like, I'm like fighting. I don't want to do a questions episode right now because I only feel like I'm part of the way there, and I really like to be fully present with those so I can give you the best answers possible. So I was kind of letting perfection get in the way of good enough. And that is one aspect of today's podcast, which, as I was doing my Wim Hof breathing, because I'm also trying to bring these moments of pause into my day, because it is really go, go, go. I'm usually up at like 4 or 5 a.m. and then I'm working until about 6:30 p.m. So I'm trying to like infuse little pockets of like breathing, yoga nidra, and it is really lovely. But while I was doing it, I was thinking about, I'm always thinking about my clients. I just love them. And one thing that popped up to me while I was doing that breath work was one of the there's so many cool things about these cohorts, but one of my actually the most mind-boggling from a coaching perspective, especially from a group fitness perspective, is how consistent these members have been. We opened in November, and every woman who signed up in November is still going strong. Not like sort of dipping in and out and coming back, but they're staying consistent and they're seeing results. And it made me think about how when I used to manage more big box gym, we would fight for retention for like 60 days. 30 day you'd see a little drop off, 60 days you'd see drop off, and by 120 days in, you would see massive turnover in people who would sign up. This is like the group fitnesses, the more like Planet Fitnessy type things. It was more common for a member to sign up and disappear in the first 120 days than to stick around. Because it's hard to be consistent, right? That's one of the things that is such a tricky thing about starting new habits, is that we might be able to start off like we feel motivated, we feel inspired, we get the new clothes, we get the new plan, we find the new gym, we find the new meal plan, whatever it is, and we're really like, we've got the fire under our butt, and we are going, and we are going to do it, and we do it, and we do it well. Like I said, first 30 days, generally, you still see people rolling in. They're feeling good. They're feeling great. 60 days, suddenly life got a little lifey. So people are starting to like, oh shoot, I like missed a day or a week. And then suddenly like my kids are out of school for summer and now we're traveling over here, and then 90 days comes by and even less people. It's been not just a couple days they've missed, but now months, right? And then, like I said, 120, it's just like whatever that fire that we were using to really carry us through, it's petered out by then, because we can't burn that bright so consistently. And that's a good thing, right? This is like tied into the burnout thing. So I was just sort of thinking in the moment, like, what is different for these members? How do we have 100% retention this far into the game? And partially, yes, it is that it was a smaller group of people, right? Like one of the gyms I worked at had 3,500 members. Like, yes, there's just going to be natural turnover, but that's that accountability piece, right? Accountability is massive, especially when we are starting something new. And maybe we are someone who operates from a place where being accountable to ourselves is very powerful. There's different types of humans, right? So the first little thing is just kind of knowing yourself. What holds you accountable? Is it something, are you internally motivated? Are you externally motivated? What is it that helps you feel that level of accountability that even gets that ball rolling initially, right? Because early on when we're making that habit, just showing up, that's going to be a massive part. The other things is kind of like this podcast, right? So one of the other things rather is that there isn't pressure to be perfect. So maybe that means I don't feel pressure to have to feel 100% to go in. Or let me pull back on that. I don't feel pressure to feel 100% when I go in, especially when we're in midlife. We've got about 1.5 million things going on that make us feel not 1,000,000%. Maybe we didn't sleep very well the night before. Maybe our kids are off for summer. Maybe we're feeling really stressed from work. Maybe we're feeling really stressed from hormones. Maybe we're feeling really stressed because it's the world, right? But there are maybe 1,000,000 reasons that like getting up and going to more of like a boot camp style class feels like I just couldn't, right? How could I possibly? So having a type of workout where you go to where you know, like, I'm going to show up, I'm going to do my best, and most importantly, it's not going to kill me, right? That's a huge piece. Knowing that your workout supports you. So if that's something that you find yourself constantly bumping up against, where you really maybe even like what you're doing, but you find that you feel too tired to even approach it, or like you just feel like it's going to be too much energy and you can't do it today, maybe consider what the activity is, right? It might just be too much for right now. And that's okay too. Or maybe you need a couple different activities. Maybe you throw in some yoga, or maybe you start strength training. Like maybe you love your boot camp. I love that for you. But if it is one of those things where you are finding that you're missing things because it just feels like you don't have the energy to do it, maybe it's time to pivot. Not a forever thing, but just one thing to take into consideration. At Fit After 40, they know if they come in and let me know that they're tired, let's just use that, or stressed, we can pull the punches. We don't necessarily need to, but if they want to, they have it available. And if they haven't slept very well, I'm going to pull the punch for them, right? Because we know that sleep is really, really, really important. to everything, but especially moving safely and seeing results, right? The next piece is that I actually ask that they only do 2, maybe 3 times a week early on. I've talked about this on the podcast a lot because I think it's one of the biggest perpetrators for folks, especially when they're new to fitness or newly back, is that fire we talked about that's so exciting. They're coming every day. They're doing the thing. They're feeling good. And then suddenly that's an impossible thing to maintain. Maybe it's because, like I said, they're just tired. Their body's not recovering, whatever that case is. Maybe it's because they missed a day and they feel like, oh my goodness, like, well, there it is. I missed a day. Like, what's the point, right? It's this extreme all or nothing where we feel like in order to see results and get what we want, we have to do it all at once. When in reality, it's the opposite, right? We want to give our body time to recover. We want to have time for our body to adapt. And when we're thinking about making something lifelong, it's really hard to commit a lifetime to something that you have to do every single day for an hour, right? Versus being able to show up twice a week. It's still hard, right? Your life is full. It's still going to be hard to get your butt in the gym, but we know that it's only twice. It's just going to be today. And then we have that accountability added, right? And then we start to feel the benefits. So that feels good. And then we have the other things we're going to talk about. But the point is there, pull back. Effective workout programming should allow you to see your progress, feel your progress, know your progress in as little as 2 to 3 days a week. So that's massive too. We're not burning out. We're letting ourselves ease in and we're letting the body really reap the benefits. And again, letting that rest come into the system. Another thing is that when the women sign up for Fit After 40, we pick our home group. So you can pop around if you need to make up to other classes. But for the most part, the women are coming to the same 2 to 3 workouts every single week. This does 2 big things. One, it holds them to the same accountability as a personal trainer, right? Because they've set those dates, so they show up for those dates. Those are their dates. Maybe you don't have access to a small group personal training gym like this, or maybe you don't have, or if for whatever reason, if you don't have that available, you can create that for yourself, right? Book these classes in advance. Choose 2 days a week that you always show up. Put it in your calendar and make it a non-negotiable. Make it a non-negotiable. That doesn't mean there's not room for error. We'll get to that later. But start planning it and showing up to it as often as you can, right? Try to show up to it the same way you'd show up to that doctor's appointment. The other thing that happens when we have these set times is that they start to get to know each other and you start to develop these friends within the studio. And honestly, like I said, the coolest part about Fit After 40 is the people. I don't know how I got so lucky, but these women are a bang-a-rang and I love them. And they're all so fun. And especially like my 7 a.m. cohort. Shout out, ladies. I know some of you listen to this. I love you. A lot of them, 4 of them have been in this since November. So they know each other very well now. They know that when they go away from trips, they ask each other about it. They know about their lives, their families, their work. And I can pretty much leave the room and they're like having fun, but then I feel left out. So I come back in. But the point is you start to get to know each other. So that's just another level of accountability if you look forward to seeing each other. If you are like, I am not really going to the gym to make friends, maybe you find a coach you really like to see, or maybe you find a friend who you go with who is your accountability buddy, or maybe you just find someone who you can text after, right? But basically you bring other people into the equation. So you're not solely responsible, but it really helps when you have something to look forward to. Because I'll be honest, I don't always love working out, but I do always love seeing these human beings. So that is a big thing as well. And then I am going to keep this shorter. So I'm just going to say the last thing that really I believe has been crucial in keeping all of these women on track since November. They're allowed to miss days, right? Because consistency doesn't mean we never miss a workout. Consistency means when we miss a workout, we show up when we're able. We are building that behavior that says, I am a person who shows up to my workouts. So July is where we are. This has been a really good example. Let's use the 7 a.m. again. 3 out of our 5 have traveled for 2 to 3 weeks. And as soon as they got back from their travel, so they went 2 to 3 weeks without a workout. That's okay. They were doing other things. They were hiking. They were enjoying weddings in China. They were doing their things. Now they're back. Within the week of getting back, They're back to their schedule. Do we go right back to where we left off? Absolutely not. They've been gone for 2 to 3 weeks, but their bodies are back, which means, boom, we're right back in the flow of things because they are people. They have created that behavior. I am a person who shows up for my workout. And that behavior shift, that is what consistency really begets. And when we get that behavior shift, when we start identifying as I am a person who shows up for my workouts, that means that we're going to start doing that over the lifetime, because when we're looking for long-term goals, midlife, beyond, at any point, right? It's not about getting it as fast as you can. It's about what can we put in place that will last for as long as I live, right? This is a forever game, my friends. And that's one of them. You just get back into the rhythm when you can, and you don't beat yourself up. I think that's the other big piece too, is that I have a pretty good feeling they weren't up in the North Shore or, like I said, at a wedding in China thinking about how they weren't working out. I hope not. I hope not, ladies. I think they were being present and enjoying their life. And now that they're back, they can trust that they're back into the rhythm of it. It becomes less scary, because that's another big thing I see especially when I do intakes with people, right? Is I ask for their fitness history, and I get a lot of, I used to work out, I used to be really consistent, and then I fell off, and it's been a month, several months, several years, a decade since high school, right? And there's this shame around it where I forget where I heard it, but the quote was, you haven't quit if you're showing back up, right? The only time we quit is when we stop showing up. So it could have been 10 years, my friend. But if you are walking into the studio and you are looking to start strength training or moving your body, congratulations, you are not a quitter. You're just getting back to the starting line. So again, really quick episode. Just wanted to throw some little nuggets out for our thought about why these women have managed to be so successful with consistency. Because again, when it comes to our health, that is what we're looking for. We cannot out-supplement a lifestyle. We cannot out-challenge like a 75 hard a lifestyle. We can't just sort of like grind our way into better health, right? Health is a long term. A lot of times when we're in these health conditions, when we are working, whatever the chronic issue is, they're not something that happened overnight, right? They're little pebbles that have fallen into place over time. So to get to the other side, it makes sense that we have to sort of remove each individual pebble, and it takes time and consistency. And there's going to be times where we're not coming in, but then we will come back in, right? It's this beautiful ebb and flow of life happening, but then this is us now. We're that person who shows up for our workout. I'm that person who chooses nutritious food for my body. I'm that person who prioritizes getting protein because I know I feel better. I'm that person who, yes, enjoys myself when family's in town and eats lots of good food, but I know when they leave, I'm going to go back to how I normally eat, not because I'm punishing myself, but because I just feel good, right? How can we change that behavior? How can we get consistent? Accountability, looking for things that are fun for you. So again, if you're not a people person, maybe that's just doing something that's fun for you in the same breath, finding something that doesn't feel so exhausting that you're missing days because you're too tired to go, giving yourself permission to miss things because you know it's just life. You're going to show back up, giving yourself permission to drop down 2 to 3 days a week, pull it back, make it a no-brainer, and you too can show up months and months down the road with this consistency, with these changes that start to add up, just like chronic conditions add up little pebbles at a time, so too do abundant health things, right? Like when we feel abundantly healthy, when we feel vibrant, when we feel like we're pain-free going up a flight of stairs, when we're getting up and down off of a long flight and not feeling aches and pains in our joint. These are little pebbles dropping in our health jar. So every time you're showing up, you're just dropping that little pebble in, and it makes a big, big difference. All right, team, I hope you got something out of this. Like I said, this is me not going for perfection, just trying to get something else or get something out rather that can help you. Now I'm going to go lie down in the shower, think about life, and then wake up and do some more. You got this, team. As always, any sort of questions, comments, thoughts, ideas for the pod, I would love to hear from you. It makes my day. You guys have been so responsive. It has been so fun. I've been connecting with a lot of you on Instagram, so thank you. That's another thing. I haven't been in my DMs quite as much, but it means the world, and when I have the time to really sit down, I will absolutely get back to each and every one of you. So thank you for reaching out. You guys are the best. All right, team. Until next time, take care of your beautiful bodies and brains because you're so stinking worth it. Aroo!